Welcome to our channel once again. Today we are going to discuss something very interesting, and it has to do with us also, because I think for the next couple of weeks you're going to be seeing content from us about estimates for various work structures. So we are basically going to discuss why you shouldn't take verbatim the estimates that you see online. Why it is important is most times when you want to take up a project, it is natural for you to surf the net, look for estimates, look for things that will give you a cost projection as to what it will take for you to finish that project. But we are going to sound some note of warning so that you don't just take everything that comes your way. And we are going to give you about 7 reasons why you shouldn't take every estimate that you see online. Let's just jump right into it. The first reason is because site conditions differ. There is this particular site that we worked in Mabuchi in Abuja. One site, it is slopey. Towards the gate, it has a rocky terrain. Then when you go down a bit, what I'm telling you is like 3 plots in one, just after each other. Like the first plot has a rocky terrain. The second one is a bit mild. Then when you go down, there is a river running behind the third plot. And when you go down, that one is very swampy. So when you encounter this kind of site now, and you know that the cost of doing foundation in each of these plots of land, now let's say they belong to 3 different people. Now the person that did foundation in a rocky terrain might find it what will take his own money is the cost of breaking down some of those rocks so that his foundation footing can sit in, or where the trenches will pass, that's where the excavation for the block work and all will pass. That is what will take his money. The normal terrain would, maybe when he gets estimate online, it might work because the person might not need to do any extra work. Then when you go to the swampy area, it will need extra effort to stabilize the land, to stabilize the soil before the foundation will now start from there to come outside. So generally, when you take estimate online, you have to take into cognizance that the site condition for which this person has done or this estimate might be different from yours. Just as little as 1 coach extra. Let's say the foundation here is it took 3 courses to get to DPC level. Then another place, just 4 courses. That 1 extra course on it would mean that extra blocks, extra cement, extra filling, and extra body, everything. So basically, when you are taking estimate online, you have to take into consideration the fact that site conditions differ, and because of that, the cost might not apply in reality when you go to site. Another point that we have to consider is inflation. The way it is in Nigeria these days, you can go to market today and get an item, say a bag of cement for 9,000 naira, and coming back the next day, the person will tell you that it's no more 9,000 naira. So if the person that has done this estimate, to the best of their intention, they did the right thing by giving you a particular cost at a particular rate. But as at the time you have to execute your contract or execute the job, it might be that prices have either gone up or down. So you have to take into consideration the fact that these things happen. It is Nigeria. There was even a time that it was so crazy that before any person sells anything to you in building material market, they'll have to call their supplier to confirm how much is this item before they sell it to you. So imagine taking an estimate from someone at that point in time, then applying it and saying, okay, let me take this price that this person is giving me and say 20,000 is what to do this job. And when you go to the market, and this thing is not like just one item. Let's say this price will filter into the reinforcement, into the block, into the cement, into the sand, gravel. Before you know, it will blow up the budget by sometimes 20 to 30%, depending on the inflation rate at that particular time. Also, the third point is the level of skilled, should I say, labor or artisan that you are employing. It could be that the cost that I'm giving you generally is like the average cost. Let's say for a labor, there are areas that 6,000, 7,000 will go for daily pay. But there are areas that you still go that same 8,000, maybe a peculiar job that someone wants to do for you, they might not take that 8,000. So taking the cost or taking the labor cost as general and applying it might not really work. Even artisans, there are some jobs that you call an iron bender. Someone will tell you that this thing, I will do it for, say, 200,000. The same thing, another person will come and tell you 300,000. And chances are excellent to give the job to the person that quoted 300,000 because you are sure that person can deliver. The 200,000 might be someone that just did a few months internship or just coming out of internship from his or her boss without much experience. He's just looking for money. I'm not saying that is always the case, but chances are the level of, should I say, skillfulness of an artisan determines how much you're going to pay the person. So it is not really fair, or it's not really practicable for you to have like a cost that cuts across every person. So when you take an estimate online and assume that this is what is obtainable outside, you might be in for a rude shock when you invite quotes from these artisans. The fourth point I want us to think about or to discuss is the cost of logistics and transportation. This person that ran this estimate for you, it might be like an actual site experience for this person. But how did that person arrive at that estimate? It's another thing altogether. An instance is, there was a job that we did around Big Warri, Odeshekiri in Delta State. All the materials, this place I'm talking about is an island. All the materials that we used was we sourced the material in Warri. Then we had to transport them across the river to this island. So if you take the cost of building the structure as say 20 million now in Odeshekiri, you're not being wrong. But the cost of moving these materials that you bought at the normal rate in Warri now to this place, this is just an example. I know what we paid. It's going to take at least 10 to 15% of the overall budget, because sometimes you have to hire a full boat. There was a time that we had to wait for like 2 to 3 days for a barge to come. Then we move all our materials in a truck into the barge, and the barge now moved it across the river and go and do work. So all these things, you have to put them into consideration. The logistics. There are times that when you want to buy material, it's even advisable you go to like a building material market where you can get, say, the reinforcements, the wood for formwork, the cement, whatever you want to buy. You buy all of them together and pay transport at once or a lump sum, instead of buying iron here, buying this one here, buying this one here, and at the end of the day, when you accumulate all these prices, it becomes burdensome. So it is not advisable that you take the estimate verbatim for this reason, because the position of the site to the market and the logistics involved might not be the same, and it is not always the same. The fifth point that we are going to consider is design changes. There are some changes that are made on design that even if you send your actual drawing to maybe a QS to run an estimate and you run with that estimate, there are chances that when you go to site, there are some things that you may not really like and you'd want to change. Those changes require labor, require material, require a whole lot of things, and that will also shoot the budget. So even if the person presents a plan and you say, okay, let me use this plan exactly, putting in mind every other factors that we have discussed, it can also happen that when you get to site, you would want to change even as little as moving a wall by, say, 50 cm or 1 meter. It results in increase in the number of blocks that you need, the cement that you would use, plastering is coming in, POP. So every change has like a domino effect that would actually end up either blowing your budget or reducing it, as the case might be. Another very important factor, being the 6th point here, is regulatory authorities. In Port Harcourt, the experience that you would have with the Omonile or the Obiakpo boys, as they are called, might be different from what you get with Lagos, with Imo State. There are some villages that you might even do your work from the beginning to the end, nobody will disturb you. So for someone that runs an estimate based on that, then you now take it to, say, a satellite town like Abuja, where you have to undertake the same project. Now, you know that you would find out that it is not obtainable, because going to FCDA to approve your drawing might not be free. It will not be free. The same thing applies for every other state. So when you run an estimate based on what is obtainable in an area, it is always risky, because these regulatory agencies, sometimes they are not even recognized entities. Like instances that we had when people from the surrounding gathered and said, okay, you must pay this before so and so work. There are some places that are even so crazy that at every point in time, by the time you finish casting your DPC, if you want to lay blocks, you have to pay for laying of block. DPC, you pay for it. Roofing, you pay. To the point that even POP, you pay before people come and do POP in your house. It is that crazy. So how do you actually factor this in? So you have to put that in mind, that, okay, the environment that I'm going to do this thing, how is the regulatory body? How are the people around there being sorted before construction work is being carried out? So you have to put this in mind also, and know that it can also affect your budget and make it different from what is obtainable from what you have gotten online. Finally, we'll talk about artisan scams in quotes. The thing is, no two artisans can measure the same space and give you the same measurement. Even if they get the same measurement, chances are the estimate will not be the same. So some might be malicious, but some with true intent still either blow or reduce your budget. So we should have it at the back of our minds that with every artisan, there are chances that the price might change, even if you have the same space. And it's a bit related to the cost of labor that we said earlier. We are in Nigeria, let's not lie to ourselves. Chances are your artisan might tell you this is what we take to, maybe this is the number of bags of POP that will do this, or this is the number of bags of cement. And if you're not there on site to check it yourself, it might not be up to that, and you end up buying more than what is actually required. So are we saying getting estimate online is bad? No, we are not saying that. All we are saying is that get estimates online, but use them as a guide, not the work, not like the blueprints, but a guide. Like if someone gives you an estimate of, say, 10,000, say you will now make it, just in your mind, you conclude that, okay, let's have like a margin of, say, 10-20% for these excesses, depending on how severe. But let's say 10 to 30% more or less than what was estimated, depending on how your site conditions, those conditions that we have listed, are. So with this, I hope it helps you when you're watching your next video. As you're getting the estimate, you place it side by side, your site conditions and every other thing. Another very good way of getting a very good estimate is visit a nearby site that is closest to your own. Get what they are doing. You can also get artisans if the job that they are doing there is good. Get artisans, get some of those things from there, and it will help you get a clearer picture of what you encounter when you come to your site. I hope this helps, and if you like this video, kindly click the like button, subscribe, and comment. comment if there's anything you want us to discuss. Thank you.